The Sound of Freedom is a very powerful film about the dangerous and disgusting world of child trafficking. Before I get into this movie and what I think of it, I think I need to talk about the message and the topic of this movie before I actually get into the movie itself and whether or not it's good or whether or not it's put together well. The message of this movie is that God's children are not for sale, and I think this movie does an amazing job at telling that because it really shows you the bad without having to show you the ugly, if that makes sense. There's nothing graphic, there's nothing shown on screen, but it's always heavily implied. But in a way, I feel like the movie, because usually when you're making a movie, you should always do the show, don't tell. But here, it is much better to tell. It is much better to imply, because you don't need to see something to know that it's there. Again, I feel like the movie does an amazing job at showing us the bad and telling us what the ugly is without actually showing us the ugly, if that makes sense. The movie never feels manipulative about what it's talking about. I'm sure if this was being made by other filmmakers that were corrupt or just bad people, they would try to abuse what they have and they would try to manipulate the story to abuse this topic. But this movie is made by pure filmmakers, good people, that it's not like that at all. It is not manipulative at all. It does not take abuse of what this topic is. It does not abuse the topic. It does not manipulate it again in any way, which is a very good thing for this movie. It's a very good thing for this movie. And more or less, the first 20 minutes of this movie is just focused on kids getting kidnapped and showing you this just underworld of trafficking. And honestly, it's the kind of thing that'll make you sad. It'll piss you off as well. It'll just get you, it'll disgust you, you know? But it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to open your eyes up to this terrible world that we don't see, but it's there. You know, it's supposed to open our eyes up to that. And once you see it on screen, it'll piss you off. It'll get you sad. It'll make you hate these kinds of people, you know? And I feel like the movie does a very good job at that. I feel like I've said this before in the review, but it tells the message very well, and it tells it with the utmost respect. It really does treat this topic with as much respect as possible, and I feel like it does that so well because this is something that is real. It's a very real topic. It's a very serious topic, and I feel like this movie perfectly addresses it, and it perfectly tells this story and this message of God's children are not for sale, and it tells it with the utmost respect, and I have to salute them for that. And while watching this movie, I really felt like it was a risky movie. I felt like there were a lot of risks being taken while filming it and publishing it because think about what this movie is. This movie is about people exposing child trafficking for what it is, and they're exposing this world of it. So for this movie to be just about that and exposing it, that's already risky. Not to mention a lot of the people that work on this movie, actors, filmmakers, writers, they work on this movie and they might not have a career after working on it, but they took the risk and they all knew that this was a story and a message that needed to be told. So they all decided to just work on this movie because it was a message and a movie that needed to be made. It needed to be told. And I will say that is incredible. That's incredible. The movie itself is actually very well put together. Overall, I would say that the movie is good. I would say that this is a pretty good movie. I'd give it like an 8.5 or a 9. It is very well put together. A lot of great cinematography, not to mention the acting in this movie. A lot of great acting, a lot of great performances, but I think most of the cast, I don't think there was a single performance in this movie that wasn't good. Especially Jim Caviezel, like his face, he looks very tired. He looks very tired. He looks like somebody who's seen things and he's been doing this job that just for the past, like, I don't know, I think he said he's been doing it for decades in the movie. Like, he looks like somebody who's seen a lot of things and has done a lot of things that he doesn't want to be a part of all this, but he has to do a job that no one else will. And I think he was perfect casting. This movie had like a $14 million budget, but it never looked like it was a cheap movie. I never really noticed a scene in the movie where it dipped in quality or it looked like they had ran out of money, you know? It seemed like maybe they had to cut corners, but even then I barely noticed. I really barely noticed. Usually the longer a movie gets, the higher the budget will go. Some 3-hour movies are really, really expensive to make, but this movie being like 2 hours long, and only having, I think, 14 million, that is actually very, very impressive. For it to be 2 hours long, $14 million, and to look this good and to be this well put together, that is very, very impressive. The Sound of Freedom, have you guys seen this movie? If you guys haven't, I would highly recommend checking this one out. It has a very important message. God's children are not for sale. I've said this multiple times in the video, but that is a very important message, and I hope this movie reaches more people. It is a very well put together movie. I've said this multiple times, but it is well put together. It is a good movie with a great message, and I feel like this movie really needs to reach more people. But have you guys seen this movie? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Have you seen it? If you haven't already, go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll see you all next time.